There is one state in America or the United States where electric car sales are growing faster than anywhere else. In fact, they're growing so incredibly quickly. They're actually up 50%. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Maybe we can find out what's going on here because in Illinois, capital city Chicago, but Illinois, electric car sales have risen by 50%. Now, to be exact, this means that EV sales are beating the nation by a factor of 4 to 1. Fueled apparently by incentives from the Illinois EPA and the state's largest utility company, new EV registrations nearly quadrupled to a total of 12% of all car sales in the first quarter of the year. As well, basically, people are just buying electric cars en masse, which is quite incredible, guys. Think about it. There was all that propaganda about, all those electric cars in the storm that Chicago had. I believe it was last year, it was a big storm, and all these electric cars apparently were dying and people were freezing to death and all this kind of drama was going on. Now, I'm exaggerating because the media reports were obviously pretty silly. I think they were. And yet, still, even in spite of the slowdown, pretty big slowdown of Tesla's US deliveries, sales of electric vehicles have massively gone up, with Illinois' EV adoption rate well above the increase across the United States. Crane's Chicago business reports that the number of new EVs registered in Illinois totaled 9,821 from January through to March, compared with just 6,500 in the state during the same period in 2024. That means an increase of more than 50% in EV registrations, far beyond the expected 12% first quarter increase nationally projected by Cox Automotive. So in the first 3 months of this year, electric car sales grew by 12% versus the first 3 months of last year, which is a little bit of a disappointing number, but it is still growth. But in Chicago, you can see EV sales grew by more than 50%. So what exactly is the reason for this? Well, for one, Donald Trump did say he was going to cancel the federal tax credit for EVs. Now, that hasn't happened, fortunately. What actually happened in Illinois was ComEd, which is the state's largest utility. They launched a $90 million EV incentive program featuring a new point of purchase incentive or initiative that you get right when you buy the car, which delivers discounts to people who are qualifying businesses or public sector customers who are wanting to buy an electric car. Now, that program has driven a surge in Class 3 to 6 medium-duty commercial EVs, which is not that many of. I mean, if there was a lot of options, I think they'd sell even better. But these are eligible for $20,000 to $30,000 in utility rebates on top of federal tax credits and other incentives. Class 1 and 2 EVs are eligible for $7,500. So just general EVs, like non-commercial vehicles, $7,500. But I think one of the reasons why Illinois has offered these $20,000 to $30,000 discounts is because a lot of companies end up using their vehicles for vehicle to grid purposes. Like obviously school buses are being used for that purpose now in the United States, helping support the grid, helping put energy back into the grid or take energy out when it's cheap or, when solar is putting too much power into certain different areas, they take that electricity out. So it's almost like having a virtual power plant. I think this is a really, really good idea. Now, here's the thing. As a result of this increase in sales, buy more, stuff happens. Chicago is now planning more public charging. So electric car sales go up, and all of a sudden Chicago goes, well, okay, well, we need more public chargers. In order to keep up with the big increase of growth of electric car sales, Chicago Department of Transportation, CDOT, is planning on a public plan called Chicago Moves Electric Framework. And the city's first plan shows that they want to put in curbside chargers throughout the city. So this is not just DC fast charging points for people to stop when they're going on a road trip. This is like curbside chargers, like what we've seen in Australia. Unlike other plans, the new plan will focus on bringing electric vehicle charging to low-income communities as well. So even people in low-income areas, they can potentially have curbside chargers too. Neighborhoods on the south and west sides of Chicago, they have a disproportionate amount of pollution, diesel emissions, partly because of vehicle emissions according to CDOT. So you don't want to really live in certain areas like that if you can avoid it, because those emissions are really, really bad for you, particularly diesel emissions. Most of Chicago's public charging stations are in high income areas. Only 7.8% are in low income areas. So this could be a bit of a drawback to people in lower income areas buying an electric car. Too often communities face the greatest economic and transportation barriers. They also experience the most air pollution, said Chicago's Mayor, Brandon Johnson. By prioritizing investments in historically undeserved areas and making clean transportation options more affordable and accessible, we can improve both mobility and public health. So the Chicago Moves electric framework includes the installation of level 2 and also DC fast charging stations in locations like libraries, Chicago's Midway Airport, and a range of different locations. Chicago wants to install 2,500 public passenger EV charging stations and electrify the city's entire municipal fleet by 2035, which is good. I mean, they could do more, but this is a really good start because this is coming from the government. And there's obviously also private investment. Obviously, Tesla's building more superchargers. General Motors is building more. Various companies are building more chargers across the state of the state of Illinois and across the city of Chicago. What I think this will all result in is more people saying, you know what? Actually, getting an electric car does make sense. There's more cars available now. They're lower prices, especially secondhand. You can get really good deals, especially on used Teslas at this point in time. And with the infrastructure being built out, that might drive more sales, and it becomes kind of a virtuous cycle. I love to see this stuff, guys. And, well done to Illinois. Well done to the people in that state for supporting electric cars. I think we're going to see this really snowball. I think by the time we're looking at this period next year, we might see around 20% of all cars sold in Illinois being fully electric. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. This is the kind of crazy stuff that happens here in Australia when the wrong people are in charge of powerful organizations. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Some of you might have seen my story. I was talking about what happened after the hit piece from Spotlight, a Channel 7 news television station here in Australia. They did an anti-EV hit piece to try to get people to stop buying electric cars in Australia. As a result, some people paid attention and believed everything in it, even though half of the stuff was complete nonsense. What happened was a Shire council here in Queensland in Australia, they threw out 8 years of work to build a public electric vehicle charging station on the grounds of what The Driven says are vague claims of human rights problems in battery manufacturing. Then they voted to keep the work going. Last week, the Livingston Shire Council voted to cancel a deal to install the Capricorn Coast first EV charger. And here's the thing, there's not many chargers up there, so that's the problem. And that was a follow-up meeting held on Thursday, then reversed the decision initially, failing to win over the required number of 4 councillors.